Hello, Questers, and welcome to this exclusive first look at Unknown 9 Revelation, Book 2 of the Genesis Trilogy by Layton Green. I'm your host, Chris Mason, story architect for the Unknown 9 story world. Today, we'll be speaking with the author, Layton Green himself, taking a look at the new cover art, and of course, taking your questions. Drop them in the chat. We'll get to as many as we can. I'm going to introduce our special guest in a second, but first, for those of you who don't know, here's a little teaser, a little recap of what the Genesis trilogy is about so far. No spoilers here, not just yet. So Genesis catapults Andy, a young astrophysicist, into a global race for a reality-bending device. As she evades a dangerous organization determined to seize the technology for itself, Andy must unravel the mysteries of the very universe. In Revelation, the new book, that unraveling intensifies. We'll see new puzzles for Andy and Cal to solve, new layers of historical secrets, new real-life international landmarks, and new villains. We'll also see a storyline set in the past that illuminates the backstory and motivations of a very interesting and major character from the trilogy. Hey, did I mention that you can read the first 3 parts of Genesis for free right now when you register at unknown9.com? You can go to unknown9.com, set up your Quester profile. You'll get access to a bunch of cool stuff. So, one more reminder, submit your questions in the chat, and I'm going to introduce our special guest. Layton Green is an Amazon best-selling author who writes across multiple genres, including mystery, thriller, suspense, horror, and fantasy. He is the author of the popular Dominic Gray series, the Preach Everson novels, and other works of fiction. His novels have been optioned for film, nominated for multiple awards, including being a 2-time finalist for an International Thriller Writers Award, and they've reached #1 on numerous genre lists in the US, the UK, and Germany. And Layton is, I dare say, a quester at heart. Let's welcome him, Layton. Layton Green. Hey.
Hey,
Welcome,
Chris.
Layton.
I feel like the two of us are questing in our basement right now.
Yes. Basically, I still have some Christmas decorations up here.
My excuse is kids in online schooling upstairs, so I get it.
Well, here we are. We're making the best of it, and we've got people in the chat doing the same thing.
Listen, every quest begins somewhere.
That's right, and these days it's often online, often on Facebook, for better or for worse.
I would say that every good quest might begin in a basement. I mean, that has a nice ring to it.
That's good. Yeah, it could also be a garage.
You can only go up.
That's right. The creepiest ones begin in the attic, and then you can only go deeper.
Interesting. I like it. Different starting points for different genres.
Yeah, we're already getting pretty deep, aren't we? Speaking of going deep, let's look at the cover. I want to reveal the cover art for Revelation. There it is.
Yeah,
wow.
I think Reflector has done such a great job with these covers.
I'm glad you think so. I spoke with our art director, and he pointed out a couple things. You know, he said that they want to keep the figure of the young woman, who we can imagine is Andy, front and center, as in the first one. She's kind of fractured between these two worlds, and there's a picture up top. In the first one, it was the pyramids, which were evocative of, obviously, Egypt, where a big part of the first novel is set, and this one is an Indian temple. And I won't spoil much, just say that it's evocative of a major setting in Revelation.
Yeah,
there it is. So I wanted to get kind of a high level view of these books from you, for those who may be a bit new, or are trying to get their friends and family, like, oh man, you gotta read this book. Okay, why? What's the pitch? When you describe this trilogy to people, what do you say about it?
I think to those who have read me before, especially the Dominic Gray series, it's right in line with what they would expect. And to those who haven't, or who are new to the Unknown 9, there are strong elements of thriller and mystery. So if you like to read mysteries, if you like thrillers that go across the world with chase scenes and action, all of that is there in these novels, and you won't be disappointed. But there's also a strong undercurrent of the unknown. There's a little bit of an X-Files element as to what else is out there. So if you're someone who thinks there are mysteries, unexplained mysteries in life, in the world, in the universe, these books are for you. If you think that the story we've read about history isn't all there is to it, these books are for you.
That's so well said, and that is such a key part of the Unknown Nine story world. Is there may be another story that we haven't been told, and there are
Right.
people actively seeking that out, and even some people may be suppressing it.
Absolutely. I think it's undisputed. There are lots and lots of stories we haven't been told or that have been lost to history or floods or ice ages. Who knows what? Maybe it's a conspiracy. Maybe it isn't. But there are certainly unexplained stories.
Absolutely. We're going to get into some of those stories in just a sec, but I want to also ask about the characters. And for me, when I think of the book, because I've read them, the characters are the first thing that jump out to me. And um, I want to get your take on them. Like to you, who is Andy, for instance?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think boiled down to their essence, Andy is someone that is searching for meaning. Her mother left her at a very young age. That just sent her reeling, and she's never quite recovered. And she also has these mental glitches in her mind that we explore in the book, that no one can explain, and she doesn't know what causes them, why they happen. And she's studying to be an astrophysicist. So she's very steeped in science, but yet there are these mysteries, both about the human heart and about her own mind, that she's exploring in the novels.
Mm. Yeah, it's kind of the outside world is she the mystery that she sees reflected in the outside world is also very much reflected and amplified in her internal world, like with her past.
Exactly.
And how about Cal? Cal, our disgraced investigative journalist character. What's
Cal
he
is
all about
more of
for
an
you?
he's more of an everyman. Cal is he's like you said a disgraced investigative journalist, and he represents all of us who think that someone at the top is pulling the wool over our eyes, or there's conspiracies going on in business or government. It doesn't have to be a nefarious one. Just he just wants some answers. He's kind of down and out. Some things have happened to him that come out in the book as to why he was fired. That he's searching for. So I think Cal is a bit of all of us that are searching for the answers to why is the world as it is, and does it have to be that way?
That's it. And to me, I feel like I connect with him on like the sort of Fox Mulder of it, the I want to believe. But he's got the thing of like I want to believe, but I can't believe until like it's proven to me,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's his modus
Exactly.
operandi.
He'll look into any theory, but he's not necessarily a believer. He just wants the truth.
Yeah, that's it. He wants the truth. Um, and Dr. Corwin. I want to hear about Dr. Corwin.
He's definitely one of my favorite characters. I think of Dr. Corwin as Indiana Jones for physicists. He's
Mm.
really intelligent, world famous, really physicist, but behind the scenes with the Leap Year Society, he's a swashbuckling guy who travels the world and had this whole past that we're going to explore in book two, and it's just hinted at in book one. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, that's it. And having read book two, I could say that it does not disappoint on what you're talking about. Like you said, all that is hinted at, and I remember when I read. I'm not going to spoil anything, but when I read through Revelation, uh, at first I was surprised, like, wow, this is who Corwin is, and then I realized, oh, actually, this all fits with what we already know about him. So,
yeah, and that developed organically. I didn't set out to write about him in book two. He's also the mentor figure for those who haven't read the novels. He's Andy's mentor, and I just was thinking about book two, and I thought this is I want to know what happens, what has happened to him in the past.
mm,
And
mm,
it also, I should say, it takes the disappearance of Ettore Majorana, which is a real life disappearance. He was a physicist in 1930s Italy who was considered to be a genius on the level of Newton and Einstein. And he disappeared off the face of the earth in his early 30s. And to this day, no one knows what happened. So book one explores that. And book two kind of picks up that thread. And it's Corwin searching for Ettore Majorana and his theories.
Uh, you know, right there, actually, that's a great connection to what I wanted to ask you about next, which is like uh, the idea of weaving these real life locations and mysteries, like what happened to Ettore Majorana, and weaving that together with the our unique Unine mythology. That's such a big part of what the Unknown Nine story world is all about. So we see a lot of these sorts of things referenced in book one, like the Hall of Records, like Ettore Majorana, like Cicada 3301, and there are lots more in number two. How important are these for as touch points for you in constructing these stories?
I think what I love to write about and what was the perfect combination with the Unknown Nine is the actual real life mysteries. I present them and I don't really make conclusions. I just every now and then I'll fictionalize what happened, but I don't veer from the facts. So
Mm.
you get to learn about these mysteries, and you also get to ask and answer your own questions about them.
Mm. Are there any mysteries or histories that just fascinate you that you wanted to include, or thought you might, but then couldn't or haven't yet?
Not really. I will only not
Okay.
include them if I think they're patently false. If I think they're
Okay.
really just not worthy of serious attention, I won't go there.
It's yeah. I think that's a fair characterization of the set of these mysteries that you've included. Is they're not just they're a step above the tinfoil hat dreck.
And
Uh,
interestingly, I think the same thing is there with science. Science is built on theories and hypotheses, and it's extremely hard, if not impossible, to prove anything. And that doesn't mean we should discount science. We shouldn't. We should absolutely do our best to probe those theories. But science is about asking questions more than
mm,
anything. You
that's
know,
it.
the physicists who have just uncovered incredible realities in our world and in our universe will be the first to admit that even greater mysteries still await.
Hmm. Are you, as you are writing these books, are you actively following like, what's coming out, what physicists are saying, what's coming out in quantum physics, and thinking, hey, I wonder if there's anything I can use there.
Definitely, that's been a kind of a interest of mine for many years, and it's one thing Alex and I connected on. Alex Amancio, the CEO, when we first met, and we both realized, wow, these scientific mysteries play in perfectly to what the Unknown Nine is all about.
Yep, very true. I want to give a shout out to Claire and Bianca and Megan and Enrico in the chat. Hello, everyone. If you're just joining us, we're chatting with Leighton Green, author of the Unknown Nine Genesis Trilogy, the new book, Unknown Nine Revelation, coming out April 13th. You can pre order on Amazon right now. We're talking about inspirations and details and the new cover art. And taking your questions in the chat. So if you've got any, drop them in there. I wanted to get back to the characters for a second here. So,
Sure.
how would you characterize, without giving anything away, how would you characterize some of their evolution from book one to book two?
They definitely evolve. I think some thrillers, especially, it's more of a, the whole book can be a chase scene, and that's not necessarily bad. It depends on your taste, but they do evolve in this book. So as they're uncovering these mysteries and secrets, both about the world and their own pasts, it definitely changes them.
I definitely feel like an evolution in the relationships um, between Andy and Cal especially, and also when the more we learn about Corwin, it kind of changes how we see his relationship to other characters too. I'm not giving anything away, but there it is.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
our old friend Christopher Sandberg is in the chat. He says,
I just
"Leighton,
noticed
you
that.
rock."
I was very happy to see that. Hey, Christopher. Hopefully, one
Good to
day
see
we'll
you,
see his
Christopher.
genius work that was scheduled for South by Southwest come to fruition. Be
Indeed,
great.
yes, that was one of the first casualties of. I mean, I shouldn't use that word, but we had to cancel a great activation that would have been called Incident at South by Southwest 2020. Getting back to Revelation. Let's see. So I understand that you visited every location in the book. Is that like an important part of your process to you, or are you just sort of curious about that?
No, definitely. I always visit every location I write about. Either I have in the past or I do it in the present. I think some writers, I think Graham Greene famously said he could sit on his couch and write about anywhere. It must be nice to be that kind of genius. I am not. So I have to go there and feel it, feel the wind, see what's on the cocktail table, walk down the street. I think that really informs my writing. So I prefer to go.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Um, and let's see. So, any, what are some of the places that stand out? I'm not sure if we have photos we can show of them as we go, but and any that you wanna mention?
I mean, I enjoyed them all for these books. Honestly, I'll go anywhere. I like
Yeah.
just experiencing anything new. So, I mean, from Bologna to Egypt to India, it was all fantastic.
Mm. So, how do you find the how do you find the balance in writing fiction using these real world elements?
I don't really worry about that balance. I think the
Mm,
more real world elements you put in fiction, unless you're writing, pure epic fantasy, the better. It
mm,
adds to the realistic feel of the story. You think about something like Stranger Things, one of my favorite shows. The reality of their 80s world is what, along with the great story, is what draws a lot of people. You feel like you're there,
mm,
and like me, if you've lived it, dating myself, then that really it really adds.
mm. Um, I wanted to ask you um, about some fan theories. So we've got some
Okay.
U9 fan theories, and we don't want to give away too much. So maybe you can just give true, false, or if you'd rather not say, that's okay too. So
We'll
here's
see.
one.
You can
All
ask.
right. So true or false? The Enneagon ends up being a crystal skull, and the LYS are all aliens. True or false?
Oh, definitely true.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely true.
Okay. So that's true.
Without a doubt.
Confirmed.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Uh,
I had to write George
Andy's
Lucas to get permission, but it's all true.
Andy's true or false? Andy's fold visions are caused by elevated midi-chlorian concentrations in her blood. True or false?
I know of what you speak, but I cannot myself speak to that.
Okay. Okay. Taking the fifth. Very good. True or false? I got one more here. True or false? The Archon plans to use the Enneagon to reduce the global population by half.
Um, Possibly.
Possibly. Okay. Well, maybe the finale isn't written, but it may have just gotten written.
Maybe. Maybe.
Uh, okay, so a bit more serious now. So um, it's no secret that all the stories in the U9 story world have connections and they overlap. For instance, we do have three different products that are set at least partially in India. So no
Mhm.
spoilers there, but who knows? Maybe they do intersect in one way. But the question for you is, how do you approach the process of writing within that transmedia story world?
I think it's been a lot of fun. I would say to the readers and potential readers out there, the novels absolutely stand alone as a story, as does, I believe, every part of the transmedia, from the podcast to the game. So you can consume the media you like and have a great experience, or you can enrich it by seeing how it interweaves with all the other ones. I guess I think about it from a fan standpoint, going back to Stranger Things. I can watch the TV series and be fully satisfied and fulfilled, but if they release novels and whatever else might be in that world, I can only gain. If I don't like it, I won't look at it, but I can only gain and be enriched by the experience. So I think it's really, really interesting. In terms of the writing, Reflector has been great at providing a lot of creative freedom. So I've been free to pretty much create the stories as I see fit. With that said, there is interweaving of mythologies and plots and characters that I think Reflector has just been great, and there's a lot of really smart people there that have improved the work.
Mm. Well, I hope so. That's for those watching, that's part of what I do is story world architect is hope. I try to help coordinate all those pieces and all those storytellings across genres. And if a character pops up in something that we're working on over here, and I say, oh man, that sounds a lot like what Leighton is working on. I may get on the horn with Leighton and say, "Hey, what if we made that little character that you're talking about the same as that character?" And now there's like this whole emergent narrative that comes out of that. Um,
Absolutely, and there's lots of little Easter eggs hidden, I know, throughout the Unknown Nine world that will be fun for fans to discover.
that's it. I see people in the chat saying that they're looking forward to listening to the books before the game comes out, and hopefully it transitions from game to book. So I can speak to that a bit. Uh, you know, the game isn't really based on the book, um, and they're not exactly set in the same uh, era, which I think you can kind of tell from that teaser that we released. But there are nevertheless connections and ramifications from one to the next that echo over the 100 years between them. And if you're smart, you'll see those. Well, smart. You're observant. You'll see all those echoes through our other products too, including the Out of Sight podcast, which you can listen to right now. I feel like I'm plugging everything, but it's all worthwhile. The Out of Sight podcast, which you can listen to season 1 of right now. And if you sign up on unknown9.com, you can also have access to our first comic book in the Torment series, um, and read the first 3 parts of Unknown 9 Genesis.
Yeah.
So, wanted to ask you also about. Actually, sorry, I had a comment from Adam in the chat about an audiobook for Revelation. Yes, there's one in the making. We're planning on creating one later this year. It won't be available in April with the launch of Revelation, as far as I know, but it is coming, and the plan is for it to be even bigger and better than the first audiobook. I can say that. Let's see. Anything else we want to get to here today? I feel like there's another question I was missing. I wanted to ask about. I had something here. Oh yeah. Are there any sort of? I know you mentioned that you're happy to get into Dr. Corwin's backstory in this new book, Revelation. Were there any other characters that you were also really excited to see come back?
I don't want to say too much because not all the characters make it, so I think it would be a bit of a spoiler to say who. But there's one character near and dear to my heart. Should I go ahead and say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I don't think that one is much of a spoiler.
And I think reading this novel, I think people would expect this. That Zawadi, who is kind of a mysterious protector of both Dr. Corwin and perhaps Andy, she does make another appearance going forward.
Indeed. Yep. So where are you in terms of I imagine you're working on the final novel in the trilogy right now. Is that right?
I am.
And how's that going?
It's going great. I just need to do some travel.
Is that really holding up your process? Is the inability to travel?
It needs to be done before I finish, but I can do most of the writing, and I'll go and fill in some details as soon as the world opens up a bit.
Okay. So I know in the chat people are asking about Unknown 9 Awakening, our video game. Fans got a first glimpse of that back in August when we released a teaser trailer. It won Best New Announcement trailer for Opening Night Live. There's been really positive feedback. We don't have any news on it just yet. I can say that everyone at Reflector is working crazy hard to make it happen. Um,
I'm excited.
and
The trailer looks fantastic.
yeah, and there will be more news coming about it soon. That I can promise, but I can't announce anything just yet. Um, we had a question about should we expect any factions beside the LYS and the Ascendants? That's a really good question. Um, Actually, let me ask you when you're writing about the Leap Year Society and the Ascendants, and for those who don't know, um, those are like the two main secret societies who are all sort of after the same thing, but we're not exactly sure what, and they seem to take different paths to get there. When you think of one versus the other, Leighton, like how do you characterize them? How do you picture them? What are your frames of references? If you treat them like characters, what are they to you?
I think maybe the easiest way to answer that is to explain their motivations very simply. Um, the Leap Year Society is an organization that seeks to collect and preserve knowledge, all knowledge of humankind from the past, the present, um, and this is for many reasons. One is to advance the human narrative. One is to ward against disasters like climate disasters or the threat of AI. They just see themselves as doing what the governments and even corporations won't do. So they're going to do it themselves. So they take the best and the brightest and the most curious, anyone that finds them or that they can find that would be right, and that's their goal. The Ascendants have a very similar goal because they're a splinter society from the Leap Year Society. But whereas the Leap Year Society approaches it with wisdom and I don't know about benevolence, but something approaching that, the Ascendants believe this mission is of the utmost necessity and should be acquired and completed at all cost, no matter who gets hurt.
Hmm.
So they have differing philosophies towards the same goal.
Hmm.
And maybe it's less of the classic evil, and it's not an existential evil. It's people who actually believe they're doing the right thing, but they've been indoctrinated with this belief, right or wrong. I guess that's up for the reader to decide. That they need,
Hmm.
It's the end is worth the means. Is
Hmm.
what their philosophy is.
Right. Yeah.
The
The ends
end,
justify the means. The
exactly.
means, yeah, the end justifies the means. That's it.
What
It's such a
symbol is
foreign
one?
concept to me that I can't
Yeah,
even say it.
yeah,
um,
exactly.
we had a question, a lot of activity from India on YouTube. Shout out to India. We love you. Leighton, you've traveled to India before?
That's just wonderful, amazing.
Yeah.
Yep, a very complex place.
Mm. Some of your most memorable places that you've been there?
Absolutely. Oh, what are they?
Yeah, what are they?
Kolkata for sure. I mean, I just feel like the entire universe is present in that city.
Mm.
Um, you can have whatever experience you want, and there's the best and the worst of humanity, and it's just an amazing place.
Mm.
Yeah,
Um,
I've traveled to just a tiny portion of India and would love to go all over.
mm. I had a question here. How will the book be altered with new information regarding Ettore Majorana? Um, I'm not sure exactly what that's referring to, or if there's some sort of specific new information that we have learned about him. Um, I'm not sure how you can answer that without giving any spoilers away. But is there anything you want to say about that?
Can you repeat that one?
It was, how will the book be altered with new information regarding Ettore Majorana?
Oh, maybe they're referring to some of the reports that he's been seen in various places that have been coming for decades, and there are new reports. And as always, none have been proven. So
Wow,
I'd
I
love to
didn't, I
see.
didn't,
Yeah,
I,
if anyone
I
has
didn't
real
realize
proof,
that was the thing about him. We're talking at the same
send.
time. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I was going to say if anyone has real proof, send it on, and then we'll talk about an epilogue.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, we had a question. The first book ends with its own little puzzle for us readers to try and figure out. Are there other puzzles hidden throughout that we should be keeping our eyes out for, or that we've missed? Well, here's one thing I can say is that if you like those sorts of puzzles, you should check out Chapters, which is our online experience, sometimes known as an ARG, that you can sign up to chapters.unknown9.com. If you like solving puzzles, if you like the U9 story world so far, there is so much content for you there. It is such a good time to get involved. There's new missions every week. It's leading up to something big. I can promise you that. So that's a great chance, a great opportunity to get that kind of content. But Leighton, should they be on the lookout for more of those little hidden things in Revelation?
Wow, I think that may be more of a question for you. I mostly just write the novels. I know that there are puzzles hidden in there. There's one at the very end of Genesis in on its separate page, which
I
launches. Yeah,
I would say that the Unknown Nine strives to reward the really curious readers and the people who really pay attention. So,
it's a
like
great
with
way.
all our products, you should pay attention to Revelation, because we're trying to reward the questers. It's questers who are looking for that information.
I love
So,
this question. Do you write better on location, or do you only take notes and write hidden in your office? Um, Location,
oh yeah,
yes.
you like to go to a place, set up and write.
I think it means do you prefer to travel, as we talked about earlier.
Ah,
Yeah, yep, definitely. I
gotcha.
love the phrasing of that. Yes, I can't. Am currently hidden in my basement office, but I do like to write on location.
Uh, well, that's great. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground. I want to remind everyone they can pre-order Revelation right now. It's out on April 13th. If you haven't read Genesis yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's a page turner. Get your mom to read it. My mom read it and devoured it in a day and begged me for advanced copies of Revelation.
Oh, that's great.
I didn't give it to her though, so not much for fun, I guess. Um, but you can pre-order that. You should go to unknown9.com, create your Quester profile. You'll be able to read the first 3 parts of Genesis. You'll also get access to the first issue of our comic book Torment, access to our very cool and still ongoing online experience Chapters, and it's the best way to stay up to date with all the announcements we've got coming. I know everyone's very curious about our big video game Awakening. Go there, and you'll be among the first to know about it.
Yeah,
Um,
I can say that everything I've seen so far, the podcast, the comic book, it's all fantastic. So highly encourage everyone to read not just the novels, but look at the other offerings.
Yep, Out of Sight. First season of Out of Sight, our podcast is online now. Very bingeable. Yeah, I know I'm not partial. I'm working on the Unknown Night story world, but I just find the quality of the production of that really, it gets me. It
It's very
makes me
gripping.
emotional. Good word, gripping. Leighton Green,
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining us today, taking time out from writing the finale of the trilogy.
my pleasure.
So great to hear your insight.
Yep,
And
great.
everyone, thanks for joining us. Sign up at unknown9.com and continue to believe in the unknown.